Hello to the dear sisters. I'm sharing our theme song. Normally this goes on a private chat, but we can only keep it a secret for so long. Usually with my friends, I start out with a song and I rhyme about whatever's going on for the day, and then I just start talking about whatever. Like, I tried out a new Filipino snack and coffee and breakfast place with my other two good friends, who I also sing the theme song to. For them, it's good morning to the dear pod. Because they're the pod. I have my sisters and I have my pod. Anyway, so we had a good little 2-hour meetup, shot the breeze, talked about different things. There was a moment when I was like, oh my gosh, I'm taking up all the space. Because in the mornings, I'm an introvert and my battery's full and I'm really talkative. Even before caffeine, I actually often wake myself up with giving or receiving or listening, like leaving or listening to voice messages from my people. I'm a relationally motivated person, so pretty much everything I do has to like involve other humans and like benefiting them, like overtly and directly. So if you ask me to like do something that would eventually benefit people, but I don't have like a clear picture of who, that's a little harder for me. So like I wrote my dissertation about people that I knew, in the hopes of benefiting a program that I was a part of, an educational training program that I was a part of. So super relationally motivated here. Yeah. Anyway, one of my biggest topics that my friends all know that I'm obsessed with is this personality framework called the Enneagram. But I have a different approach because everyone talks about the Enneagram. Look it up. I'm not going to do that for you. I'm not going to explain it. We live in an age of Google, so look it up. Hashtag, or a side note, I was homeschooled and we were definitely never spoon-fed information. We always had to go to museums and write our own notes. There was no Google at the time. We had encyclopedias. So anything I talk about that might be of interest, Google it. The Enneagram, Enneagram. Also not a fan of spell check or other things that help with grammar and stuff like that, but if it helps, use it. But I was always trained to develop it as a skill, so grammar and spelling is a skill. Anyway, I'm not against AI. I use it for work actually, but sometimes it's good to use our own skills and intelligence. So okay, I like the Enneagram, but instead of using the Enneagram to be like, you're number 9 or you're a 7 or 4 or 2 or whatever, I like swear by, and this is the hill I will die on, I swear by subtypes. So this is a conglomeration of people who have taught me about subtypes and also my own observations. If I were writing a paper, I would cite my sources. Been there, done that with academia, so not gonna do that now, sorry. But one of my mentors told me that often the biggest conflict between people has to do with subtypes. Isn't that crazy? And I have found that to be true to an extent. So 3 subtypes here. All the subtypes are kind of nervous system and biology related, and they have to do with how we feel safe in the world and how we feel like we will survive. And everyone is wired differently, and so we'll have different stackings of the subtypes, but we all have all 3. So I'll go by my order. Top one for me is self-preservation. Have I eaten? Have I slept? Do I have a schedule? Do I have my basic needs met? Self-preserers, what I call it, have a stable energy, and they're usually pretty good with like self-care and boundaries. Although there's always caveats to that. We'll get there another day. That's the generalization. Number 2 is the social subtype, which is back in the day, if you didn't have a tribe, you would die. So I need my people. Who's my community? So like in my 20s, I was always a part of like a group, several groups, like in the religious settings, Bible study, church, small group, prayer group, ultimate frisbee, soccer, intramural soccer, recreational soccer, all the things, hiking. So people with a strong social subtype really care about like the group. They're always scanning. The energy's a little chaotic because it's like volleyball, right? It's bouncing the ball around. And you're always looking for like who has the power, who has the attention, who's left out. What are the dynamics? Are the dynamics shifting? Can I shift the dynamics? Like it's very, like when I was like director of international student advising at a private school, every day as the kids came in, I would be like scanning and like logging interactions. So fun. So fun. Working in a hospital, going on each floor and knowing like, okay, that is the person to know, or like, you know, there's some tension there. Like just scanning. Oops, sorry. The third one is one-to-one, or the sexual subtype, which originates from human beings' need to like find their one person and like procreate with that one person to survive. But now it more has to do with like, what is your thing, or who is your person? So someone who is like not into one person could be into like a project that becomes their like one-to-one object, and it becomes like the reason they get up, the thing that gives them life. So, you know, like if you're working on a project and that's all you can tunnel vision think about, that's the one-to-one energy. One-to-one energy is linear and probing. So when you meet someone, you can think about what is the dominant energy you feel right now? Is it stable, like routine, like, you know, very stable? Or is it like chaotic, right? Or is it probing, like, you know, more and more and more in a linear way? So, and how do those tendencies even conflict with each other in one individual? Like, for example, once I'm self-presed up, like I've had my stable routine, I'm like good on sleep and all that, then I have the energy to do the chaotic thing. But to do the linear thing, like the one-to-one, takes so much energy from me. Like if I'm gonna write a paper, I need about 15 tabs open, and I need to like sometimes multitask in order to focus on one thing. Or if I'm out in public with one person who's like super locked into the one-to-one, and they're not like also noticing everything else going on, that is really hard for me. Like I feel like trapped in a tunnel with them, and they're not like registering everything else going on. But if I'm with someone who's like very high social and very low one-to-one, maybe we'll just be scanning the whole environment together, and that's all we'll be talking about is like, oh, that's a cute couple, or that's a cute dog, or, you know, but we won't be zoning in on each other. Like we are not each other's object of attention. We're both kind of like out facing together. So I mean, this subtype stuff is the source of conflict in like romantic partnerships, but also family. Like my family of origin, super high one-to-one. I always felt like sucked into one-to-one tunnels, and like it was really hard for me as a low one-to-one if one family member was like talking and getting so into it, and I'd be so hungry and I'd be like, we just missed dinner time, like, hello, I need to have dinner at the same time every day, right? But the other person doesn't mean it. They're just like so into the connection, or, you know, whatever. Or like if one family member's low social subtype, then it's like you can't like just individually have a relationship with each of your child. Like you need to know about the family dynamic when we're all together. You know, you need to like notice in real time. So stuff like that is super interesting and obsession making for me. So I have to say that is kind of how I read people and interact with people and try my best to adjust to people. And there's amazing frameworks out there that if you believe in this stuff, the MBTI, the Enneagram, Strengths Finders, like all these things. But I think at the end of the day, we are nervous system creatures, and our sense of safety comes from our stacking. And so when we think about conflict and whether or not we feel safe or seen or heard or cared for or loved, to me it really comes down to like, well, what's your stacking? And if you're not being met by someone because your top need is their lowest need, then, you know, you're gonna work with that. You're gonna, you know, decide that you can't work with that. But I think it's super important. So clearly my top need is self-pres. So, you know, here I am doing that. It's actually easier for me to like talk my ideas out when there's not just one person in front of me, because that's my lowest subtype. So that takes the most energy. So right now I'm imagining like an audience, which is like my chaotic social subtype, which allows me to like talk about it. But you can tell I'm not a linear thinker, right? Like I just bounced all around because that's the chaotic. But if you asked me to like teach a class or like go through it step by step, I can do that, but it takes a lot of energy from me. Like it's not my natural thing. Or if like, you know, I'm on a one-to-one date and you're like, hey, what are your hobbies? It would be really hard for me to be like, hey, I love this Enneagram subtype thing, let me talk to you about it. Like that, I'd have to like really focus. But if I were like in a group setting, I could probably do it. Even if like my friends help me out, like, hey, like you're a social, like tell me what that's like. Or, oh, you're a one-to-one, like, so I noticed you do that. Like it's more interactive, I can do that. Especially if it's not scripted. If it's scripted, I can't. It's really hard. So, okay, so yeah, this is how I leave voice memos to my friends. It's kind of chaotic. That is my bread and butter. This is like, friendship is literally my hobby, among other things. I actually met someone once who said friendship is like their religion. I resonate with that. Like I really spend a lot of time pouring into friends, but not just like small talky things, but like stuff like this, like nerding out together and like hearing them share their experiences and then being like, well, is your so-and-so a high one-to-one? You know, like, I don't know, it's just fun to kind of like co-create theories and learning and ways of looking at the world, which could be just, you know, BS, but just are fun to engage and give us a framework. And we all need frameworks because humans need a sense of control, right? Yeah, it's like, how do I say this? But like friendships are like relationships are so important to me, and my friendships are kind of like the thing I'm the proudest of. And not to say I haven't failed in some friendships or, you know, had issues or whatever, but I have my people, and this is like, I don't know, we just share something so special, and we often talk about how we wish other people outside the friendship could experience it, because it's so cool and it's so freaking special. I haven't even mentioned this like really cool international group of friends I have from like 11 different countries, and well, at our height, 11 different countries, and we still sometimes do Friendsgivings together via Zoom. Like friendship is like such a cool part of life. And the last thing I'll say is like, and I've written an article about this, blah, 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 but I'm just gonna talk out of what I remember, but like, it's also important to make friends with yourself, first and foremost. And that includes making friends with your past, your present, and even your future, and the fears and the unknowns of the future, along with the hopes and dreams. So when I talk about friendship, it's not social stuff. Sometimes it is through a social setting or a shared interest or whatever, but there's a way in which friendship is like just one of the most sacred aspects of life for those who are lucky to have it and want to have it. But also friendship with oneself is, I think, super key to having successful friendships outside of oneself, but also experiencing the love and acceptance of other people who love and accept you helps you to do that better for yourself. So it's reciprocal. The neighbors were there the whole time, and so I was like one ear, so I was like, are they gonna look over the wall? But thankfully they didn't. Yeah. So friendship is very, very cool. And I think just to be a friend is a special thing, and to have a friend is a special thing. And yeah, no real conclusions, but hope that was fun just little rambles here. Bye.